Before we utter his quotes, we must first understand the man behind the words. He was a man who claimed to know nothing, and yet his wisdom changed the world. He walked not among kings, nor in the halls of power, but in the marketplace, among the people. He spoke, not with arrogance, nor with certainty, but with questions, endless, searching questions. To some, he was a fool, to others, a danger. But to those who truly listened, he was a revelation. He did not write books. He left behind no grand monuments. His ideas were not carved into stone, nor sealed in scrolls. And yet, they live on, in every mind that dares to question, in every heart that seeks wisdom, in every soul that refuses to accept the world without thought. His name was Socrates, a man who stood against the tide of ignorance, a man who, though condemned, never wavered, a man who died, not in weakness, but in defiance of falsehood. Tonight, we do not simply remember Socrates, we listen to him as if he were here, speaking still, questioning still, guiding us even now. If our words have stirred thought within you, let them not fade into silence. Engage, question, and share. Subscribe, like, and comment, so that the dialogue may continue and the pursuit of knowledge may endure. I'm the wisest man alive, not because I possess great knowledge, nor because I have unraveled the mysteries of the universe, but because I, above all men, know this single undeniable truth, that I know nothing. And in this knowledge of my own ignorance, I stand apart from those who believe themselves wise, yet remain blind to the vastness of what they do not know. An unexamined life is not worth living. For what is life if not a quest for truth, for understanding, for the refining of the soul? To drift through existence, never questioning, never challenging, never seeking the essence of one's being, is to live no better than a stone that lies upon the road, moved not by purpose, but by the force of others. The only thing I can truly know is that which I do not know, and from this understanding arises the endless pursuit of wisdom. The fool clings to certainty, to the illusion that he possesses all answers, while the wise man embraces the unknown, knowing that the path of wisdom is walked not by those who believe they have arrived, but by those who understand they have only begun. Do not mistake learning for wisdom, nor knowledge for virtue. A man may fill his mind with words, may memorize books, may recite great philosophies, and yet remain a fool if he has not sought within himself the measure of his soul. True wisdom is not found in the pages of scholars, but in the depths of reflection, in the questioning of all things, in the relentless pursuit of truth. Be wary of those who claim to be wise, for true wisdom does not proclaim itself, nor does it seek to be honored by men. It walks humbly, it listens before it speaks, it questions before it asserts, and it values truth above the comfort of self-delusion. No evil can befall a good man, for though his body may be wounded, his name slandered, his freedom taken, or even his life extinguished, the soul of a virtuous man remains untouched by misfortune, for his goodness is not bound to the world of men, but to the eternal law of what is right and just. Do not do to others what you would not have done to yourself, for every act we commit shapes not only the world around us, but also the very foundation of our own being. A man who harms another wounds himself, for in injustice, the soul is tarnished, and no wealth or power can cleanse the stain of a wicked deed. The greatest way to live with honor in this world is not to be what men expect of you, nor to seek the approval of the many, but to live according to that which you know, in the deepest part of yourself, to be true and right. For honor is not granted by the hands of others, but cultivated within the heart of the just. A man who is not content with what he has will never be content with what he desires, for he will always chase that which is beyond his grasp, believing happiness lies just beyond the next possession, the next achievement, the next conquest. But peace is not found in having more. It is found in needing less. Wealth, power, and fame are shadows, fleeting and fragile, subject to the whims of fortune. But virtue, once cultivated, is eternal. For no man, no circumstance, no tragedy can take from you the righteousness of your soul. Death should not be feared. For what is death if not the transition from one form to another, from one state of being to the next? He who has lived a life of wisdom and virtue has no cause to tremble before the unknown, for what awaits the just is not to be dreaded, but embraced as the final truth that all men must meet. A life spent in fear of death is no life at all, for it is not death that robs a man of his days, but the ceaseless dread of it. To live in constant terror of what must inevitably come is to die before one's time, again and again, in the mind. It is not how long a man lives that defines his worth, but how well. A short life spent in pursuit of wisdom and justice is of greater value than 100 years lived in ignorance and selfishness. The measure of a life is not in its years, but in its deeds. When the truth is spoken, it needs no defense, for truth stands firm, immovable, unwavering against the winds of deception. Lies, however, require great effort to maintain, for they crumble under the weight of scrutiny. The man who speaks the truth walks freely, unburdened. But the liar must forever labor to uphold the illusion he has created. The worst form of ignorance is believing that one knows, when in truth, one does not. The man who acknowledges his ignorance is already wiser than he who clings to false certainty. For the former is open to knowledge, while the latter is closed to it. True justice is not found in the laws of men, for laws may be flawed, they may serve the interests of the powerful, they may be shaped by ignorance. True justice resides in the soul, in the unwavering principle that no law, no decree, no command can make right that which is wrong, nor justify that which is unjust. He who wishes to change the world must first change himself. For what is the world but a reflection of those who inhabit it? If men are greedy, the world is corrupt. If men are just, the world is fair. Seek not to reform others, before you have reformed yourself. The hardest battle a man will ever fight is the battle against himself, against his own ignorance, his own arrogance, his own unwillingness to change. It is easy to point at the faults of others, but the true measure of a man is found in his ability to see and correct his own. A man who refuses to question his own beliefs, his own habits, his own ways of thinking, is a man who has chosen blindness over sight. Growth comes not from certainty, but from doubt. Do not fear doubt. Embrace it, for it is the first step toward wisdom. The highest form of knowledge is not in controlling others, nor in accumulating wealth, nor in mastering the words of scholars. The highest knowledge is in mastering oneself, one's desires, one's fears, one's impulses. For a man who has mastered himself, nothing else holds power over him. Wonder is the beginning of wisdom, for only he who is struck with awe at the mysteries of the world will seek to understand them. It is not in certainty that wisdom is found, but in the restless questioning, in the refusal to accept without inquiry, in the relentless pursuit of truth beyond mere appearances. To wonder is to open the door to knowledge. To cease wondering is to close the mind to all that might be discovered. Engage with us, subscribe, like, and let your voice be heard. For knowledge is not hoarded, but shared. Wisdom is not stagnant, but ever growing. And so, as all conversations must pause before they resume, we shall meet again in the next video.